Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Today we're gonna be talking about something that is seemingly fluffy, but there is a lot that goes into recruitment. A lot. It is some serious business. Like, you want moments like this. Because you finally found the place that you want to call home. You've gone through an entire week of like putting yourself out there consistently and trying to make new friends and trying to meet new people. And it's a really scary experience going through recruitment. I did recruitment this time last year from the inside. I go to the University of Missouri and I'm a Kappa Alpha Theta. Ta-da! Proof. Those of you that are about to go through it, you're about a week away now. And it's going to be okay, I promise you. And I know it's going to be okay because I'm going to give you these tips to get through recruitment. And not even to get through, but to stand out in recruitment. Because I promise you, there is a way to do it. So if you're going to stick around and listen to these tips, please like and subscribe to this channel. I'm a growing channel, just got started, and so I'd really appreciate any help. So you have open house round. 2 days long, crazy. Then you have Philanthropy Round, Sisterhood Round, and then pref day, and then bid day. Sororities cut down their list, you cut down your list, and you have to match. So it's a dual system, basically. And on bid day is basically when you open your letter, you have the crazy moment where you're like, oh my God, I got into this house, blah. The week leading up to it, it's hard for those that are doing the recruiting and hard for those that are going through recruitment. But these are the tips that you need to know to get through it all and stand out through it all. So let's get started. Open house round. Be prepared to talk about your major. Hands down, one of the first questions they will ask you when you walk through that door in open house round. Have a good answer for that. When I say have a good answer, I mean, what is your major and why did you choose it? So as soon as somebody walks up to me, hi, my name's Annabelle, what's your name, blah, blah, blah. And then it's like, oh, so what are you majoring in? And then if you say journalism, tell me why. And if you don't tell me why, I'm going to ask you, why journalism? How'd you pick that major? And if you're just like, oh, I don't know, I just did. Give somebody enough to respond back, because you should be majoring in something that you're passionate about. So dive into that kind of passion that you have for your field or the classes that you're excited to take in it. If you're undecided, say, I'm undecided, but these are the things that I want. These are the kind of classes that I want to take because these are the fields I'm interested in, 1, 2, and 3. Bam, there you go. Then I have a lot of questions that I can ask from that. And you're gonna be asked about your home life, your high school, and probably why you chose that university. Those are very blanket questions that are when you're first getting to know a girl, what you're gonna ask, okay? And so for those, again, have something lined up that you kind of want to point at. Why did you choose blank school, you know? Have a reason, because usually if we're here at that school, we're pretty passionate about our own school. Think of the things that you're looking forward to and talk about those, because then it's an uplifting conversation and one that both people want to be in. It goes back to just kind of keeping in mind how you can take every question and give more about yourself in the answer. You're not gonna have that long to talk to every single girl in open house round. The more rounds you go through, the longer time of a conversation you have. Typically, this is like the main tip from open house round, I would say, is know what you're passionate about and be able to answer those blanket questions with something you're passionate about. So your major, dive into it, sis. One girl that really stood out to me when I was doing recruitment last year was she was going to be a journalism major, and I asked her about her major, and then she told me that she wanted to be on the Today Show, and I was like, you know what? I like you because 1, you know what you want to do with your life, and 2, you're reaching big, you're going big, you have big goals, and so that says a lot about a person. So in just 2 minutes of getting to know this girl, I already know I really liked her because, I mean, 1, our interests aligned, so that was you're not always gonna have the same major, so you're not always gonna have that connect that way, but just knowing that she knew what she wanted to do and she was passionate about it and she had goals. Massive, you guys. Okay, philanthropy round. So next round, next day. Okay, so philanthropy round, as it sounds like, is going to be talking about philanthropies. Who would have guessed? I've seen some videos say you need to do research on the sorority, you need to know what the philanthropy is so you can have, like, don't stress yourself out about doing so much research into it. that like you know everything. You know how much money we raised last year. We know all of our funding efforts. Like, don't worry about it. What I do care about is that if in the presentation, because you'll have a presentation about the philanthropy, pay attention to it. Have some questions about it afterward, but then the conversation isn't only going to be about our philanthropy, it's going to be about how you have been involved in service.
Know what you're going to say when somebody asks
You what service you've been involved in. This is where being genuine comes in, okay? So when somebody asks you what service you've been involved with, do not lie, do not embellish. We're gonna ask questions again about that service trip and ask like what you learned, what you experienced, what was the most impactful part, how were you impacted as a person. This is when you start getting into more personal topics, because usually service comes with something you've experienced, it's really touched you, and I'm going to ask about that, as are other girls. And if you haven't had any, that's okay too. You have to be able to say like, well, I'm not involved right now, but I want to be because of this. Or explain how you've invested in other people and you've served other people by helping them. Keep in mind, you do not have to be perfect. You don't. You do not have to list your entire resume here of how you've been involved in service in your high school. Pick a moment that was genuinely touching to you and talk about that. Like, what is a time, there's a hair phone, but like what is a time that really impacted you somehow? Because then I learned something about you, and I learned about a way that you were touched in your life, and maybe how you've touched others. So, Sisterhood Round. Yay. Again, diving deeper, you guys. Woohoo. Tip. Be prepared for deeper conversation. Have a best friend in mind, because you will be asked about like your friends from back home. The friendships you've had before, we want to hear about. Did you feel accepted? Did you feel like you had a good friend group? You're going to be asked, why do you want to join a sorority? And guys, have a good answer for that. If you're like, I don't know, my mom just kind of told me to, like, I want to be in a sorority because I'm really looking for a close-knit of women to support other women. I want to be in an environment that I get to build up other women build me up. Like that kind of thing, guys, is just being open about what it is you're looking for. Because that's how, if you're genuine with us, we can know like if this is the house that's right for you or not. Where are you going to be the happiest is more what this entire process is about. Okay, ask me, why did you rush? Great question, which brings me to number 10. Ask the person you're talking to questions. And you should want to ask me questions. You should want to know why I rushed. You should want to know what I value in the sisterhood, in the sorority, or like what is the sisterhood like in this sorority. Those are all questions you should be having on that kind of day. Pref day. Woo. Pref day, guys, it's intense. It's really intense. It's meant to be an emotional day. I had girls cry last year, like during pref day, during the round, because it really does get super emotional and super personal. It's part of kind of opening your heart and your mind to the idea of sisterhood in this place with these people who would then be your sisters. So several girls did tell me is that they knew that the P&M was right for their house when the conversation was able to go where it went. It wasn't specifically like, let's talk about sorority. Let's talk about what the sorority means to you. Like, the conversation can go anywhere. And it's just about having a good conversation and good connection, whatever that may look like. So don't be so set on it having to be about a certain topic of the day, but just focus on having a connection. This is also when you should be being your most natural, your quirkiest. You should feel completely at home this day. In order to do so and come across that way, don't hold back what you're thinking. If you don't feel like, if you're nervous, say you're nervous. That's okay. Don't only see this as your rush experience in your sorority. Also see this as getting to know other people that you're going to meet at the university and be friends with at the university. So those are the days, you guys. That's all of them. I know that's a lot of tips. So these last tips are just kind of food for thought sort of things. So body language, one, crazy important. These are kind of like the 101s of body language, so you may not need this, but I'll give it to you anyway. When you're talking to a girl, lean in. Not obviously like all the way forward, but like lean in a little bit. Just by leaning in and pushing your shoulders forward, you're actively more engaged with whomever you're talking to, and it is great when someone comes across engaged. Remembering their name. So hard to do. It is so hard to remember people's names, but I promise you, if you do, if you're like, yeah, Annabelle, it was so great to meet you. I really hope we get to talk again soon. If you remember my name and you say Annabelle as you're leaving, because it means you were interested, you were engaged, the conversation stood out to you enough that you could remember my name. Share it. Like, the most unconventional conversations are are the most memorable. If there is a story you would tell your best friend, tell it to us. Don't be embarrassed that you're like, wow, that makes me look like not cool. That is the absolute worst mentality you could have going into it. You don't want to come across as cool. Instead of having that barrier of like, oh, must be perfect, must tell resume, must appear impressive. Like, don't worry about it. If you come across and you look comfortable and you can sit down and you're not like frozen and stiff, those are all things that stand out, you know? Like if you sit down and you're kind of comfortable in your own skin, that really stands out. If you come across and you're engaged and you make eye contact and you lean forward and you ask questions, those are all things that stand out. So those are the tips I would have, as opposed to make sure you put little pom-poms in your hair or make sure you wear like cute little clothes. Like those are the tips, you guys. Yeah, so comment below if you have any more ideas about, or if you want to hear more about sororities, because, you know, I'm in one. So I can help out however you want. I can talk about whatever you want. But yeah, thanks so much, you guys. Make sure you hit that subscribe button. Yes, I'm reminding you twice because your girl's trying to grow a channel here really hard. So let me know if this is something that you're more interested in, and we can go from there. So thanks so much, you guys, and good luck this week. Breathe. I promise it's gonna be okay. Just kind of go over those tips that I gave you while you still have this week. Kind of think of those stories, think of those questions, kind of mentally prepare yourself for the different days about the different topics that will be asked of you, and you are going to do just great. Okay? All right, thanks so much, guys. See you in the next video.